Hi, I'm Chinwe. In this podcast, I am thrilled to bring you an incredible lineup of guests, ordinary women who have harnessed their struggles into powerful transformations. No matter your background or backstory, their experiences will resonate with you and will inspire you to let go of the limiting narratives shaped by your circumstance, upbringing, or past programming. We can all achieve greater freedom and happiness in our everyday lives, and my guests are here to tell you how. So, come on, let's dive into season 2 of Beyond 9 to 5. So guys, this woman is a truly remarkable and vibrant woman. And she channels her passion for style, fashion, and color into empowering other women so that they can embrace their own confidence and inner beauty. But she's not just an expert in what she does. She is quite literally your relatable, everyday, ordinary, yet extraordinary woman who is here to share her ups and downs and the challenges and the transformative journey she has experienced as she shaped her own style and look and her fashion, and how that has led to a happier version of herself. So please, welcome, Kate. I think we are going to be totally inspired today. So please welcome Katie Chittenden.
Thank you. That's so sweet.
Hi, Katie.
Hello.
Thank you for coming on Beyond 9 to 5.
That's okay. Thanks for having me.
I'm going to ask you about your hair. It's lovely.
Thank you. Thank you. My hairdresser will be pleased.
I like the sort of asymmetry there.
Yes, I am more of a dramatic in my style personality. So I like doing things that are a bit different, playful, and stand out. Not because I like to show off, just I've got an arty background. I like creativity.
That's amazing. Oh, are you always blonde? Is that your natural colour?
It's very close to my natural colour.
Right.
I am naturally very fair. I was the little girl at school who was white blonde, like my two boys are now. And then at about the age of sort of 7 or 8, everyone starts to go a bit more mousy and they get darker. And then you have to wait until they hit 16 again before they start bleaching it. So I was the one that stood out like a sore thumb because I didn't go darker.
Right.
But I do highlight it now with a little bit of bleach because it's a bit of a bland ash colour.
Was that a good standing out? Or was it? Did you feel awkward about it?
Yeah. At the time, I was bullied quite a bit because I always say I feel like I might as well have been ginger because the issues I used to get and the bullying I used to get for being albino or, Barbie doll. And actually now I don't mind being called Barbie doll, but it was
Barbie girl.
Yeah, so it was definitely, I didn't enjoy my hair for quite a long time, but obviously it was one of those things where adults were always saying, oh, but people spend so much money to have hair your colour, you know, and you're so lucky. But I think it took me till my 20s to really sort of appreciate it and enjoy it.
Really? So this is interesting, right? Because up until you said that to me, I kind of assumed that being blonde was a cool thing. And I say this because a lot of us women of color, we have this about our hair and how, my daughter, for instance, 2 of my girls have had issues at school where people have pointed out at their hair and things. And I always thought we got the tough end of the stick when it came to that. So this will be news to quite a few people that even though you're blonde, you got bullied because you were blonde.
Yeah, lots. I was different, and you're not allowed to be different at school, are you?
Yeah, true.
So I say it thinking, oh, maybe I shouldn't say it this way, but I might as well have been ginger. And that's because I know people with ginger hair get so much stick for being ginger. Yeah. But no, I hated it. And I think there was one time, my mum trained as a hairdresser, and there was one time when she actually did dye it brown for me. And part of that was my creativity, but part of that was trying to avoid being blonde. Yeah. And oh my gosh, it was horrendous. So do you remember there used to be the yellow, there was wash in, wash out shampoo colours, and they came in sachets. I think they were Weller and Toner or something like that. And as the brown started to come out, it'd go a bit green. So I needed to put a red tone in it to keep it brown. But then my roots were coming through blonde, and the dye was making it go ginger. So I realised at that point, I was not meant to be a brunette.
Yeah. I hope people are listening. I hope there are young women listening out there today. And I hope they're understanding what I'm understanding now, although I'm in my, old enough to know this already, but it's good to kind of voice it out and reflect that the problem is not you, the problem is the bullies, right?
Oh, 100%.
Because clearly it obviously doesn't matter who you are, tall, short, dark, blonde, dark hair, curly hair, whatever it is. And somebody who's not happy in themselves would point it out and bully.
Or it could be glasses, you know. My kids have glasses, and I'm very lucky that I don't think they're getting bullied for wearing glasses, because quite a few children wear them now. Yeah. But it could just be glasses, and that's not to do with your skin or hair colour, you know. Yeah.
How did you get into, because you went to art school, right? Yes, how did you get into fashion? And tell me a bit about your professional background.
Okay, yeah. So I left school not knowing I was dyslexic, and so not the most academic. Always loved things like art and music. So I ended up following up with art, because to do music, you have to stand in front of a camera, and I was terrified of that. So I went and stood behind the canvas, and I spent 7 years at college doing fine art. I've got a BA with fine honours in fine art, BA with honours in fine art.
All right, cool.
And yeah, I loved that journey growing up. I learned a lot about myself. I got to have fun. I'm very much into abstract art. So I love things like the abstract expressionists, Mark Rothko, Jackson Pollock, getting messy, but also loved a lot of the newer artists, like at the time, Tracy Emin, Damien Hirst, and contemporary art as well. When I finished college, I was working in just retail. So not necessarily 9 to 5, more shift work, and trying to find my way, I guess. I fell into a bit of network marketing, selling makeup. And it was actually during that time, someone said to me that I didn't believe in the products that I was selling. And I kept saying, no, I do. And they were going, no, you don't. I said, yes, I do. Well, you obviously don't. I said, I do. I just don't believe in myself. And it just came out of me.
Oh my.
So I think from college, I still didn't believe in myself. I loved and am passionate about colour and creativity, not necessarily fashion at the time. And I was working in retail, I was working in fashion stores and so on. But it was a big pivotal moment for me, realising I had no self-belief. So went off and worked on that. I think I've digressed from the question at hand.
I mean, this is really interesting because you know, most people assume that because you work in fashion or you know makeup or you are a makeup artist, it doesn't necessarily translate to yourself. And I think there's a bit like doctors as well, right? Just because you're a doctor doesn't mean you're the fittest or the healthiest, you know? And we all have the same struggles, you know, no matter our profession, but it then takes next level to then within that profession identify where your own needs are and how that relates to your work.
And I think that comes with time and age and experience, doesn't it? So I found out that I was having these issues with my self-belief and I went off and worked on it. And at the time I moved from one company to the other. I was working, well, actually I'd had my children. I met my husband. So that kind of disturbed my career path, whatever that was going to be. I didn't know what I wanted to do.
You just said
I was early 20s. I didn't know really what I wanted to do. I actually trained as an interior designer. I've also got a degree in interior design, which I never did anything with because I had no self-belief. And then my husband, who's a bit older than me, said, I want kids. So I thought, well, I can't see my career going anywhere at the moment. I don't know what's going on. So we had kids, which was wonderful, obviously. Yes. And during that time, I was playing with unique makeup. That was my introduction into network marketing. And that journey started. But I actually then moved over because the people I was working with joined forces with a company called Colour Me Beautiful, who were around from 1983. I remember that because that's when I was born. And they were trying to rejuvenate, if you like, the brand that never went away. And they do colour and style. And they set about using their own makeup to do this sort of network marketing. So I got to go in and play with makeup like I was before, but join a new team and get involved with the colour side of things. So they were training us to match people to their perfect shades of makeup, prescribed makeup, and they were giving us a tiny bit of training on how to do colour analysis. So I got into that and thought, wow, I'd actually had my colours done at this point, which is a different part of the story. I'd had my colours done. I'd already done network marketing. I'm playing with makeup. Everything felt like all the pieces of the puzzle were coming together. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to go and train as a stylist. I'm going to train in colour analysis because I've already seen the power it can have on people's confidence and in their journeys. And so, that's how I ended up coming into colour and style. It was from art to self-belief to network marketing to becoming a stylist.
I mean, that's an incredible journey because what I'm hearing is that you just didn't stop. You kept yourself open to the experiences you were having and then evolved your career around that. And do you have any personal experiences around how styling can change somebody's confidence, not with your clients, I mean, but in your own life. How did that happen for you?
Yeah, definitely. So it actually all started with my mum. I'm trying to know how old I was, but she was working for a jewellery shop called PIA, P-I-A, who are still online. We don't have physical stores anymore, unfortunately. But she started working. She was a manager of this shop, and she loved her customer services. So on a quiet day, a lady walked into her store. They sell gold and silver, and then everything's filled with semi-precious stones. So you can get, amethyst and lapis lazuli and all these different gorgeous stones in the jewellery, coming in all different colours. And this woman walked into her shop one day, and my mum was like, "Hello, how are you? Can I help you?" And this woman said, "Yes." Actually, she said, "I'm looking for a piece of gold jewellery." And as she's speaking, she pulled out a colour wallet. And she said, "And I'm looking for a gemstone in one of these colours, but it must be one of these sort of shades and tones." And my mum said, "Oh, wow, I've heard about this, having your colours done." So they got chatting, and my mum made that decision at that point. She was going to invest in herself. Yeah. She knew about Colour Me Beautiful from the 80s, and she said, "I'm going to do it." Yeah. She actually went off and had it done with another company. And I saw how it transformed her. She said, the first thing she said was how amazing it was to go back to her wardrobe and have a clear out. She said it was so freeing to have an understanding of why there was 100 items of clothing in her wardrobe that she never wore. And she's going, "That's because it's the wrong colour." It's like a lot
of us, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think for me, it was about 3 years ago. I did that. I literally walked into my wardrobe and found things I had for like 3 or 4 years that hadn't been, with the labels still on.
Yeah.
What a weight. Like,
never
I
even
felt
worn.
Bad. Like, this is just...
It weighs us down.
Yeah.
It's an element that weighs us down, definitely psychological. So yeah, she did that. And I saw the difference and the confidence of being able to then go out and buy things that she loved, that she wore. Yeah. They say, we wear 20% of our wardrobe 80% of the time, which is mad. And then you say to ladies...
20% of our wardrobe 80% of the time.
Yeah, so we're wearing just 20% of our wardrobe.
That's right.
All the time. So all those clothes that are sitting there that we're not wearing... And I always lead when
I'm just doing the mental math, and I think
especially for people who have big, people who have big wardrobes. Yeah. So I always lead when I do shows and I meet people. I always lead with, "Do you have a wardrobe full of clothes and nothing to wear?" Yeah. And the majority of women shake their head at me. Yeah, I do. So
we think about style and confidence together. Can you be stylish and not confident? And can you be confident and not stylish?
Yeah, I think so.
Is that possible?
So. Yeah, I think so. Because you've got to have that knowledge, use that knowledge, and be confident with it. And something's missing if you're in one of those two brackets.
That's right. Yeah.
So my sister is very different to me. She's a quantity surveyor. So she's in a man's world, from a very male-dominated industry. And she used to go to work in London in dresses. And after my mum had had her colours done, she said, "Oh, I've got to get this done." And I'm thinking, Jenny wants her colours done. This is exciting. This is a bit colourful for Jenny. And she said, "Yeah, but I only ever buy dresses." She says, "I don't know how to put outfits together. A dress is a top and a bottom. I haven't got to think about it." So she went off, she had hers done. They also had this style done as well before I had any of this done, because I was at college. Yeah. So I didn't have any money at the time. I was just at college with a part-time job. And she went to work. I think she went to work afterwards dressed in something from Primark. And some guy said, "Have you had your hair cut?" He couldn't work it out. He could see something was different. Yeah. And I also say to people, after watching her experience, you could dress head to toe in Karen Millen and look awful. Yeah. You could dress head to toe in something from a cheap high street store and look $1 million if you're getting it right.
Or the charity shop at the back.
Or the charity shop, which is so on trend now.
Do you know why I say that? So last season, one of our guests came on the podcast, and then she just suddenly didn't feel ready, for the cameras and everything else. And I was like, "Do you know what? Don't worry. Let's just pop round the back." Oh. So we literally went shopping in the charity shop round the back, and boy, we came back with bags.
Oh, brilliant.
So affordable, so nice. It was like total retail therapy before the podcast episode. So yes, that's my reference. Nikki knows all about this.
That's where I'm going after this then.
Yeah, I know. It's just round the back. I promise you would love it. Yeah. They've got Zara stuff there.
They do that now. Yeah, I've noticed that. I think the charity shops have got something going on with some of the Marks and Spencer's and Zara, I see.
Yeah. I mean, this is amazing. I think if you are confident and you're not stylish, could it be because you haven't been part of the process of styling yourself? You've not been part of that conversation, either with a stylist or even within yourself, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Because there's plenty of programs, there's plenty of things online that you can go and teach yourself, can't you? So, yeah, I definitely think so. And I was talking to someone the other day who was running a networking session, and she said there was a room full of these women who were all passionate and intelligent and loved what they do. But you could see there was something in them that was a little bit withdrawn, a little bit shy almost. Yeah. And sometimes, or quite often, that comes from that feeling confident about how we look so that we can then stand up. I always say stand out for all the right reasons, you know. Yeah. You don't have to be a dramatic, colourful, bright person like me and wear big leery things and break the rules. You just need to know what suits you so that when you get up in the morning, you can put an outfit together without thinking twice, so you can save time. You don't feel like you need to buy an item of clothing to create an outfit, because you should already have enough in your wardrobe. I feel like you're literally pointing out save
Keep
time,
going, Katie,
save money.
You're literally ticking off all my
even if you're not into
my fashion style sins.
And even if you're not interested in worrying about the environment, you are naturally going to become more eco because you are saving time, saving money, wearing what you have. And when you understand how to put all these things together, and then you can look in the mirror and go, oh, I look good in that. You know, you don't have to tell the world, but you just have to look in the mirror and go, yeah, I look all right. Something's working today. You take that energy with you for the rest of the day and you can be more confident.
Why is it important for women to just go out and to get a stylist, to get it done professionally? Why is it important?
Well, to start with, we've already touched on saving time, saving money, being more environmentally friendly. Yeah. But it's working on yourself, isn't it? It's having that confidence. It's going on that journey. It's evolving. Yeah. You know, I just think it really can. Sometimes people think that maybe they know it all already, and that's great, because then you've got that confidence. And even if I'm looking at someone going, okay, well, that isn't necessarily the right colour, or it doesn't matter, because they're confident.
Do we all know? Have you? Okay, let me just stop there, right? Because I think, who knows it all already, though? Because you unless you've been trained, you can't possibly know it all already. It's my point, isn't it?
Yeah.
So basically, I think that even as I am now, I think I can style myself, but there is still scope for improvement. There is still scope to get someone else who's a professional like yourself, isn't it? To come and help and help me grow or learn or do it differently, because there is always that little margin for improvement, isn't it?
Well, first of all, I love learning, so I think we should all be a sponge. We should never stop learning, and things are always coming to us. There's new fabrics, new cuts, new lessons,
new styles,
new theories. You know, there's been talk about whether you should wear vertical or horizontal, and that has changed over the years. You know, I think it's about finding the knowledge, finding the information. So knowledge is power, isn't it? Once we know ourselves, we can make a choice. So I can tell someone they shouldn't wear black, for example, but if they want to wear black, they can. There's ways of wearing black. It's about finding that knowledge that suits you, taking those nuggets that work for you, and remembering that things are always changing and evolving. So does that answer the question?
Is it expensive or time consuming? Because a lot of people will be listening and thinking, to get a stylist, right? First, I've got to find one. Secondly, I have to kind of make time to have this consultation. I'm a busy mom, everything is up. And then thirdly, am I going to have to sell my car to
You haven't got to sell your car. You haven't got to sell your car. So it is an investment. It is an investment in your time and money, but it is doable, and it's something that can be worked out over a period of time. You could do a little bit, you could do a lot. There's different ways in, okay? There's even free versions of it where you can come and see me and get a taster if you like. It is about an investment in yourself. And I was thinking about this question. If you think about how much money you're spending on clothes, this applies to makeup as well. So think about how often you're going out and you're buying an item of clothing and how much you're spending on it. Now add that up throughout the year, and now consider how much of that you are wearing in that 20%.
And then if you cleave that off, you actually have quite a bit of money to spend on a stylist and more.
Yeah. And also if you look at it the other way around, if you invest and you go, and it's around 2.5 hours. I always say it's about 2.5 hours for colour, 2.5 hours for style. It depends how much we get talking.
Yes. it could be fun as well, isn't it? Just
so
having
much
someone
fun.
else, and you're absolutely brilliant. You're so much fun to talk to.
I always say to people, I feel like I'm a hairdresser, because when we see our hairdresser, we talk a lot,
yes,
don't we?
That's right.
But you see your hairdresser on a regular basis. I am seeing ladies maybe once, maybe twice, and they fully open up. And it's because it is such a process. It's not just about looking good. It's about how they feel. It's about what help and support they need. So talking about confidence, I've seen two types of women. I've seen lots of types of women, but there are two examples. One is one I've just done a blog on. She came to me maybe 2 years ago, and when she walked into my studio, she came with her mum. She's an adult. She came with her mum, and she could not look in the mirror. So you walk into my studio, and it is a spare room in my house, and it is filled with a built-in wardrobe with quite a few big mirrors on. And then there is a freestanding mirror by the window because we need natural light when we're doing the process. And she really, really struggled to look in the mirror. But I needed her to look in the mirror. I needed her to see the process. I wanted her to see how certain colours really drained her, made her look tired, increased all these things. There's signs of ageing, age spots, redness, compared to putting a colour that really lifted her and acted. Someone said to me once, it's like a camera filter. I said, I'm stealing that. So it's like a camera filter. You put the right colour on, the floors sort of almost blur away, your eyes can sparkle and pop, and you just look that best version of yourself. And that's where that confidence comes from. Because when we look good, we feel good. And when we feel good, we feel more confident. And so I had to guide her, and I had to watch her eyes, and we were taking photos, because sometimes I do it just to show the client in the photo, because they can look at a photo easier than looking in a mirror. And she came in like this, and by the time she walked out 2.5 hours ago, she was like this.
Oh my God.
And that was one of my best experiences, seeing that transfer. It's just 2.5
I can see you
hours,
quite emotional
and the
about
transformation. And I messaged her recently, because I was to say I've just written a blog on it, and she agreed. She said, it was for her life changing. And she lives on a farm. So she's not going out wearing big, crazy, colourful things all the time. She's probably still wearing jeans and a T-shirt most days. But something changed within her when she realised she was beautiful. And then compare that to a client who I met. She turned up, and I'm thinking to myself secretly, why does she need to see me? She's fabulous.
She looks fab.
She's gorgeous. And actually what had happened for this lady is she worked in corporate. So her entire life, she was a power dresser. She loved colour. She loved suits. She loved power dressing. She no longer worked in that corporate environment, and she had no idea how to dress down. And she needed guidance on how she could wear jeans and a T-shirt and still look fabulous. So there's a place for everyone.
Ladies, pause for a moment and imagine this. A circle of women, strong, talented, wise and powerful, all in one place, ready to support you through tough times and to celebrate the good ones too. Picture a safe space where you can truly be yourself. A sisterhood that lifts you up, empowers you, and where we can share invaluable experiences with each other. Now, what if I can tell you that circle is right in your hands? Introducing Health Mary app. Health, well-being and lifestyle solutions for women by women. All you have to do is download the app. It's free and it's all the girl power you need. Because what we don't realize, I guess we all instinctively know it, that we're evolving, all right? So you move from your teenage years to your early adulthood to mommyhood for some people, to then we're evolving, but our wardrobes tend to play catch up, isn't it? A lot of we need to, in a way, almost anticipate these things.
Yes, we're not taught to do that either.
Yeah, no, we're not taught to do that. And it's really interesting because up until late 2023, I worked in the NHS, so in hospital. So I had my whole wardrobe was set for going into the hospital in clinics and on-calls and all of that. Yeah. And then when I stopped, I can totally identify, right? And I probably spent a whole year and a lot of money wasted. Hence the things with labels that I never wore, because it felt like almost like a frantic, I better get this now so that it will match that for later and all of that. And all confused, and I can identify with what you're saying. It basically took me a good 2 years to eventually find a balance with my new way of life, basically. But I wish I'd done this.
You should have said.
I
knew you as well. It's interesting. There's, I think, some.
I really do wish
makes
I
me think of my
had.
journey actually, because so imagine me at college, right? I don't know, between the ages of sort of 17 and 23, I was there. And I came from that Spice Girl era. I'm so pleased these are back on trend.
I know, right? I love your jeans, by the way, it's beautiful.
You know, I used to wear see-through vests with my bra showing. I used to have pink hair. I had Spice Girls trainers, you know, those big chunky platform trainers and everything, right?
They're all back in vogue now.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And when I met my husband, he loved me for who I was and how I dressed. Yeah. And I came in from being a student at college into this world of people who may be sort of 6 or 7 years older than me. Mm. And we were going out into town and we were going to the pubs and going out to restaurants. Mm. And all the other women in that environment were wearing whatever was normal, you know, what everyone else was wearing, not what I was wearing, which was black and white stripes or trying to look like Gwen Stefani, you know. And so I owned it for quite a while, but I did find myself starting to lose it because I kind of wanted to be with the in crowd. Yeah. And I'm guessing that's probably I didn't feel as accepted. Yeah. Nothing, you know, we were young adults. No one was bullying or taking the mickey, but there was something within me that maybe didn't feel fully accepted in that group of women in particular, as lovely as they were or are. And so I started, and also at that point I was starting to have children as well. Yeah. So I started wearing things like jeans and T-shirts, looking in my wardrobe, buying a lot of grey, and doing that thing of pulling out 5 different tops and not being able to decide what to wear and not feeling myself. I also remember, I think maroon was quite on trend at one point. It sort of has been recently, but wearing this maroon top, we were getting photos done as a family and going back maybe a year later and looking at these photos and going, I thought I looked good that day. Oh my gosh, I look horrendous. What's going on? And I now know maroon is a really dark colour that was draining me, making me look pale, and it didn't suit me. So I'd gone from being this bright, vibrant, very dramatic young person to someone who'd just completely lost my way. And I hadn't realised, and I hadn't known why, probably until more recently. And so going off and having my colours, which I did way before I trained, made me understand style personality, which a lot of stylists will tell you is actually the most, it's the icing on the cake. It embodies everything you learn in colour. You can know your colours and you can know your body shape, but unless you know who you are and who you want to express yourself as, you're not going to know how to use those colours and use that shape, you know, and scale information. So I learned that I was dramatic. I learned that it was okay for me to break the rules, and there was a reason why I loved picking things up and going, Mum, Jen, do you like this top? And they'd go, oh, that's horrible. And I go, yes, I'm buying it. But now I know to do it, but not with mustard. You know, do it with pinks and so on. Yeah. So, I've been on a journey too. Again, another different journey. So I think every woman will go on their own journey when it comes to colour and style. And, you know, some could not know and then become to know. Some could know and then lose their way, you know.
Speaking of journeys, I was just thinking the other day, if around sort of style and colours, and I'm thinking technically I should be old enough to know some of these things, and still I struggle, right? But it got me thinking about my daughter who is 18 and a bit now, and is there anything I need to be telling her or showing her, or even how young is too young basically to get into style and colours? And
well, at Christmas time, I worked with my niece and a friend of the family, and they were 10 and 12, and we had so much fun. We did the colours, we did the makeup. Yeah. And
that sounds so nice.
It's starting to trend on TikTok now, isn't it? It's been here since the 80s, but there's a lot of people that go, colour style, what's that, you know? But it is getting more popular again, and it was good fun. When people are younger, often, not always, we have less flaws, you know, unless you really suffer with something like acne, we have younger skin, we have less flaws. And so we get away with so much more. We get away with wearing things that might not be our ideal colour. It doesn't mean to say that getting the right colour won't really enhance you, because it really will. Yeah. But it's still good to give them that knowledge, because as I said before, knowledge is power. Yeah. I think, back to your question though, one of the biggest things I can think, as you were asking me that, is teaching people to love their best bits. Yeah. We stand in front of a mirror and we go, look at that fat bit, look at that wobbly bit, look at that wrinkle, look at that spot, look at that red. Whatever your flaws are, we stand in front of the mirror and we look at those things. especially when we're wearing the wrong shaped clothes, when we're wearing the wrong colour makeup, the wrong colours, right? Because it's enhancing those bad bits. Very rarely do we get up, look in front of the mirror and go, God, that lipstick looks fabulous.
Eyes,
look at my eyes. Look at that waist. I might have a tummy, but haven't I got a waist? You know, we don't look for those things. So for me, it's teaching people to look at the good bits. And I do this, especially in a style analysis, because we're looking at body shape and scale. And they'll come in and they'll say, oh, I don't like this. I don't like my tummy, you know. And I'll say, look at your chest. Look at those fabulous boobies. Look at that bottom, you know. We've got two different types of women, as you know. Some women love their bum. They own that bum, you know, and I think everyone should do that because there are women who have flat bums. They don't have a bum, you know. So own it. Love those curves. Love the way. Look for the good parts. And as a stylist, that's definitely something in a style analysis I'm doing.
I can think how that would be really useful if say I learned something from you today, you give me a bit of styling session, and then I'm able to translate that to my daughters or even get them that experience as well, because the process involves being able to look in the mirror, being able to look in the mirror and look at your best features and then look at how to enhance them. And so I think it's a win-win. Because I keep thinking that, you know, the girls of certain age, maybe they shouldn't be looking at styles, maybe they're looking, but actually there's no such thing as too soon for it. Even a little girl, I remember watching my mom get ready, you know, even as a young 7-8 year old. And I would just be like watching and mesmerized. And she would just get ready and look. I never saw her criticize herself.
That's wonderful.
If that makes sense, right? So she'll just get ready, and she didn't wear a lot of makeup or anything. She's pretty, low key, very natural and low key. But her process was just so simple, so straightforward. And for a long time growing up, that meant something to me. That really influenced how I looked at myself. But then on the flip side, if I had at 8-7 been watching her and I'd seen or heard her going like, that, then I can imagine how for a young child,
you start looking at
yourself negatively in that way as well.
Absolutely.
And so I guess what I'm saying is that we do need to be mindful when we stand in front of the mirror, when we're choosing our clothes and styles, and that, we often have other people around us, especially our younger ones, isn't it? Boys and girls as well.
I was going to say, I've got two boys, and even now, I especially with my youngest one, he can be very negative on himself, and I have to say to him, think of all these great things that you are and that you have and you can be, don't look at the negatives.
And he can see you being what you're saying, basically. You're not just saying it and then, doing the opposite. Yeah,
definitely. I'm very mindful of how I talk to them, definitely. And I do have a niece and other young females that are in my family and my friendship zone, and I love spending time with them and working with them as well, and saying the same and doing the same, because it's not just as a parent we have that responsibility. I remember reading the book Raising Boys, and it says in there how important other men are in that zone for children. So you have got your father, but you've got your grandfather, you've got the scout leader, you've got the uncles, you've got the friends of the family. We all play an important role when we have children in our lives, whether they're our own or someone else's. But one of the lovely things I do as well is a mother and daughter session.
Which is amazing.
Cheap. It's probably one of the cheapest ways to do it, actually, because you're not paying. I've got presentations and the science and theory, so I'm only saying it once, so it halves the time almost. But it's lovely. I never sell any makeup in those sessions because inevitably mums are warm, daughters are cool, and they get their lipsticks out and that's not for you. All right, here you go, mum. Oh, that's not for me. So I never sell any makeup in those sessions, which is fine. But it's such a lovely experience doing a mother and daughter
bonding experience as well, isn't it? Because you're transferring all those skills, but it's something that you can do with your daughter.
Yeah, absolutely. Mother's Day is coming.
Oh, I know. When is Mother's Day? But that sounds so amazing because this forms such a good bonding experience for the mom and daughter.
Yeah, and what's really interesting is often when you go out shopping this is a bit of a tip if you like. When we go out shopping with a female friend or a mum and you pick up a top and you go, oh, what do you think of this? Does it look nice on me? There's something to listen out for. Yes, it looks lovely on you, or isn't that nice? Because if it looks lovely on you, it's working for you.
For you.
If they say, oh, I really like that, maybe it's their colour. Maybe they want it for them.
Perspective.
It's really interesting on the psychology. It's not, it's not an 100% thing to pay attention to, but it's definitely listening to the way people talk can help give you an indication. And also, another tip, if you love that colour, if it's one of your favourite colours, 9 times out of 10, it is one of your best shades. Yeah.
So just buy it.
So
buy it and own it.
Yeah,
because the confidence comes from inside out, isn't it? It does.
Definitely.
And so shop. First of all, I don't go shopping anymore with people. Sometimes I go with my younger sister, and quite a bit like what you've just said. We go back and forth with each other. And it's fun if I'm not serious about getting something.
Yeah, or spending quite a lot of money.
Or something like that. Well, actually, on the contrary, every time she comes with me, I tend to spend far more than I need to.
Yeah, I must admit, my friends don't like shopping with me. They're getting a free personal stylist, but they end up spending more money.
Yeah, exactly. She's a total enabler.
You should wear that.
But again, shopping together is a good bonding process for us. But it can, like you said, become quite stressful if you're not confident in what you want to get, and you're leaning on other people's or the shopkeepers' help. Because then that just causes more confusion and all.
Definitely. And so if you've had that mother and daughter session together, you've learnt about each other at the same time. So actually, you've got a better idea when you shop together. That's the perfect person to shop with then.
Style for boys and men. Do you dabble in that? Is that
dabble's a good word. Yes.
Does it matter for them?
It does matter for them.
I can imagine it does. Yeah.
It still go back to that. If you look good, you feel good, more confident. Okay, and men will still have that. They may seem to care less, but I do see men. In fact, my mother and daughter has been a husband and wife before. It's simpler. There are less body shapes for men to worry about. There's a little less choice for men out there, really. It's actually harder for the dramatic men to find the colour. It's getting easier. And it's quicker process because they don't want to chat. They want to be told. Typically, not every time, but so it can be a quicker process. But it's still there. It's still relevant.
Your business is around confidence building, and I love that through that you are literally like a bit like the client that you described, isn't it? Where someone's walked in and they're feeling kind of low and then walk out. That must be so exhilarating. Why is it important for you to pass on this sort of little seeds, sow these little seeds of confidence, generally, in terms of your value and in principle? Why is it important?
My selfish answer is I want to see more people in colour because I love colour.
I love the way you play with colours, by the way, Katie.
Thank you.
I've seen some of your Instagram videos. I'm like, wow.
I do have my own moments, like I say, we're all learning all the time. We're on a journey, as we all say. And I remember one time walking up on the school run and I can't think what I was wearing, but there's 2 other mums in the playground who stand out a bit like me. One is a dramatic like me in bold, blocky colour, and the other is more creative. So there's a lot of leopard print and a lot of different textures and patterns. And I remember turning up and looking at them both going, I think I've overdone it today. I had a bit too much going on. But I just got
it's okay.
overexcited. The sun was out. I put a load of things together, rushed out the house and went, oh, maybe that's a bit much today. But it doesn't matter, it's having fun with it. And and the confidence side of it, I've seen it through my experience. I've seen it through my sisters and my mums before I'd gone through it myself. And so I'd seen it from 3 perspectives on how colour and style can make a massive difference. I'm definitely in my heart thinking about the eco-friendly side of it. I'm not the best person when it comes to being eco-friendly, but it's on my mind. I do try. I do make the effort. I'm very involved with Vinted. I absolutely love Vinted. And I love the fact that secondhand shopping is now, it was always acceptable to me. It was always there. Me, my mum and my sister would walk up, go to the supermarket and always go, let's just pop into the charity shop, It was always there in my life. But I know it's not always been fashionable or trendy or seen as a thing to do, and it is now, and I love that. So I love coming at it from that sustainable point of view, and trying to help in the world a teeny weeny little bit from that level, but it is that confidence and going through my own confidence journey. Us as women deserve to feel confident and be heard and be seen. And if me showing someone colour and style can help them get there, then that's great.
Introducing Health Mary app. Health, well-being and lifestyle solutions for women by women. Download the app. It's free and it's all the girl power you need. It's interesting you say be seen, because, many of us hide away, even those who are, you'd imagine they're in a corporate situation, or they're leaders in their jobs.
I've seen it.
We still feel uncomfortable being seen.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important, because when it comes to that balance between sort of men and women in the workplace, for instance, if we're shying away and we're kind of not owning our space, then how are we ever going to close the gender gap and gain more equality in the workplace, or anywhere else for that matter? So I think, I suspect you're probably underestimating how much of an impact you're having, because if you think about that woman that you had that consultation with, she would have learned something. She would have then been able to translate that to her daughters and a lot of other people
friends
around her, and friends. Yeah. So that one client may look like one client, but we're talking about 3 or 4 other people. So so you
and actually, you talking about that gender gap and payroll and women at work, menopause comes into it, and I work with a lot of menopause women as well, in a particular group called Midpoint for Women, where I go in and I offer free sessions, 20 minutes each week, and it's amazing how women are going through that. It's in part of the group, and then I tend to connect with ladies, and they'll come back to me later on. But even if they don't, I'm being able to have conversations and feed and learn. Everything we do, we're learning all the time. So even if I didn't get any clients out of it, it's still a great experience for me, and it challenges me as well to make sure I'm on my top form and I know the answers, because people ask questions and they can throw you, can't they? Oh, I don't know everything, but I will go and find out, and then I will know. But so going through the menopause is a massive time in a woman's life where fashion and style comes into play.
How so? Is that because our bodies are changing, or our skin?
Body shape. So all those clothes and things you used to wear don't fit anymore. They don't work anymore. We go through that weight issue of thinking, we're going to hold on to clothes. Should we not hold on to clothes? Especially if you're yo-yoing. And some women give up. People go, I don't care. I don't bother with makeup. I don't bother with this. And I think if you're happy and truly confident in yourself, wonderful. Don't worry about it. But 9 times out of 10, they're saying it. They're going, I don't care. I'm not going to bother with makeup anymore. And they let go. Yeah. And that's when I think we start to get hidden and not seen. And if that's how you want to be, that's fine. But I bet in your heart of hearts, you don't want to be seen like that. Yeah. And actually, there are some really fabulous examples of women who haven't had work done, who are really looking fabulous, and you can be that woman. Yeah. Just accept who you are, look for the new beauty in you, and maybe, your style has changed. Yeah. Maybe you need to understand that. And I think
what you've just said is so important, because that's a stage in life where you're not just changing physically, you're changing emotionally, and your mental health is definitely taking a bit of a knockabout, basically. And that styling and fashion can be a good tool to help you out of it. You don't necessarily give you energy. It can bring you out of it. It can help you. And it doesn't need to be difficult.
Absolutely. I've got a lot of stylists will tell you that lead with style. Understanding your body shape and your style personality is key. Do that first. But coming from such a colourful art background, I can't help but lead with colour. It's my passion and my love, and it excites me.
It makes so much sense, actually.
But actually, even if you never had your style done, especially if you're going through a time in your life where you need positive energy, colour analysis can really bring that to you. So even if one of your best colours, your most favourite colours, your wow colour was a neutral or something soft and not as bright and bold as what I'm wearing, if you put that on and it energises you and it lifts you, same with the weight loss journey, we go through those negative moments. What can you do to help give you a little bit of a push? Put something on that makes you feel incredible. Makes you look your best self, because that's going to help. So it's not going to fix everything, but it is there to support. Use it as a tool to support.
100%. Do you read books?
I do. I never used to. I'm on a mission.
Really?
A lot of the books I read at the moment are just romantic, easy, rom-com, Katie Ford type books. But I have definitely read quite a few books.
Do you have any recent one are there any ones that you've read recently?
So there's 2 I can think of. One which I feel like everyone's heard of, and it's called Eat That Frog.
I haven't heard.
You haven't heard it? It's about procrastination. I've got the name of the author.
Eat That Frog.
Eat That Frog.
That's a good one.
So,
is it about eating frogs?
Sort of. No,
literally. No.
It's by Brian Tracy. Okay, so Eat That Frog. It's, I think, from memory, it's quite a small, short, quick, and easy read book. Yeah. So I'm someone who would procrastinate. So for all my passion and energy and drive, organisation is not my best skill. Getting things done and procrastinate, and I think a little of that's being dyslexic as well, mildly dyslexic. So this book really helped transform my mental mindset.
Yeah.
If you had to do something really horrible every day, and that horrible thing every single day was to eat a whole frog, right? Okay. How horrible and horrendous, but you had to do it. What time of day is going to be the best time of day to do it? First thing in the morning. Get it over and done with.
Yes, that's right.
If you spend all day thinking about eating that frog, then it's even worse. Even worse, going through that whole day thinking about this horrible thing you've got. Whereas if you get it done in the morning, it's done.
Out of the way.
You haven't got to think about it for the rest of the day. So that book is about procrastination, and it really helped me. And I use it with my children. Do your homework. No, I'm just going to do this. Do your homework. You're going to spend all weekend listening to me say, do your homework, or you can just get it done.
You might as well.
Eat that frog, boys. Yeah. So I use that one a lot. Good for parenting. And the other one, so I've got my notes here, is Mary Kay Ash, Miracles Happen.
Okay. Miracles Happen.
Miracles. Yeah. She says she is an ordinary woman with extraordinary determination. And I've written down a quote. If one more woman learns how great she is, then for me, it's been a great day. Yeah. And there's a lot of quotes from Mary Kay Ash, and that one really connected with me, totally what I do, and what we're talking about today.
Isn't it? We're just talking about how just getting one more person to lift herself up to be a better version of herself. Definitely. And then she can go ahead and show up in her family, in her community, and at work. Definitely. You know, imagine. So I think you're making such a huge impact with this.
Thank you.
And I wish more people would engage in that way and to reach out. One of the things I'm hoping people will get out of this podcast is how accessible these things are. Yeah. This is not like Kim Kardashian. You have to be a mega superstar. No. You know, we have ordinary women who are providing these skill sets and services, and coming from a place of everyday life, and they will understand what you're going through. And so yes, it's amazing. I really, really love that quote. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I will read
that book. It's a great book. It's so she had a lot of she was in the 60s, and she and her husband had set up a skincare brand, and one morning she got up and he had a heart attack at the breakfast table, and died. And she was told by everyone around her to stop the business. She couldn't do it as a woman. And she went through all of that and built an amazing company. And it's all about women and confidence. And so
Mary Kay. Oh my goodness.
The makeup that I use.
You wouldn't know any of this. This is so. Look, I'm getting goosebumps.
Yeah, you should read it. It's a great book. I've read it once, and I know someone I know says they read it every year. Yeah, because they get new bits out of it every year. So definitely. I will make sure I read it again this year.
100%. I will do that. Do you have a favorite place to go? Travel, basically.
Oh, wow. That's a whole new can of worms.
Yeah, is it?
I do. I have travelled a lot.
My dad
moved to Hong Kong when I was about 8, and then Singapore. So he now lives in Singapore. So I've done a lot of travelling in Asia, and it's all about the food for me. Yeah. So travelling anywhere that's got Asian food is where I want to be. But then my mum and my sister moved to the south of France as well. So I've got, travelling in general. I would go anywhere as long as the food's good.
Yeah. That's amazing. I wish I could do that. This is a public declaration or
putting it
out there. I am not a fan of flying. But it's not just the flying, actually, because I don't like trains or planes
right. Okay.
And I feel this is something I really need to work on, because I want to be. I would literally. Maybe there's a reason I have this issue, because otherwise, I might not live where I live. I might literally be like, because I want to travel. I want to go to see places. I want to eat different foods. Yeah. But I find myself procrastinating and putting things off, or putting off holidays and things like that, because of this internal fear of sort of being cocooned in
But you've already started because you went up Snowdon.
I did.
We went up. We walked up Snowdon together, and
Yes,
I'd never met you. And we had a whole car journey to Wales, a whole walk up a mountain and back again, and then a whole car journey. And I'd never met you before, and it's like I'd always known you. But you did that.
We did that, you know.
And you didn't think you were going to do that.
I didn't think. Do you remember halfway? It wasn't even halfway up. It was like literally the first 20 steps. I turned round,
which is the steepest part.
That's it. Yeah. So I turned round and I was literally gonna go back.
Yeah.
And Adele was like, "Girl, you've already come 100 how many miles to Wales? We're going up this mountain." And you are absolutely right. It was literally just putting my foot one step in front of the other, and we did it. Got to the top and came back.
And I'd
nearly forgotten about
going
that.
to other places, even in our own country.
Yes.
And traveling by train or plane. It just the world is amazing. From Scotland to New York to the depths of Singapore and Hong Kong, you've got to travel.
That's amazing. Katie, every time we have a guest on the show, I get to read out a bit of affirmation or quote from the guest before, right? So I'm going to read this one out for you. Let's have a think and see whether it resonates, because it's interesting how each guest leaves something, and the next guest totally gets it, and it feels like we're all in it. We're all truly connected. Mm-hmm. We are all truly connected. So this one says, "Self-love is not selfish."
So true.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah.
Look after yourself.
Yeah.
Work on you, look after yourself, and then you can go out there and be the best version of yourself and give that to those that you love around you.
Yeah. And why do we feel bad? I don't know. It's, when because with your profession and your styling, I can see how somebody might feel like, oh my God, this is such a, this is too much love for myself, I guess.
Yeah.
Right? Do you find clients that feel that what they're doing, if they feel guilty about doing that for themselves? Do you find that happens?
I think they're the ones that get on the phone call to me and don't come back to me. Yeah, they're those ones that have got another reason that they should be spending the money elsewhere. And I get that, times can be really tough. But it's so important to look after yourself in every way, even down to our mental. We could be eating well and exercising, but our mental health has a massive impact on our health.
Yeah.
So if you're suffering with mental health, work on it, whatever route that takes you. Love yourself is so important. I always say one of the biggest things for me is just to be kind. But I think people forget that also means being kind to yourself. You say be kind, you think everyone should be kind to each other, but you need to be kind with yourself. I think I reposted a quote from a Drag Race UK. I absolutely love it. And he says, if you can't love yourself, why should anyone else love you? At the end of every episode. And it's like, yes, love yourself. It's so important. Look in the mirror and love what you see back. We're so lucky. Wherever you are in life, you've got something to definitely say, I'm lucky that I've got this.
And in fact, look forward to, isn't it? Next stage. And if you're lucky to evolve to that next stage, I appreciate it. And it's a lot of gratitude.
There's always someone worse off than you, Even when I'm having dark times and I'm down, there's definitely something that pings up in my brain, there's someone worse than you, someone that's not got this, not got that.
That's amazing.
Great quote.
Yeah. Thank you. Guys, oh my God, I told you this was going to be inspiring. Katie, thank you so much for coming on Beyond 9 to 5 today. It has been amazing. If you guys subscribe, like, share, we can make more of these episodes and bring inspiring stories like this to many more women and young people out there who need to hear them. I think there is room for us to keep sharing these stories, and in particular, short stories from ordinary women, everyday women who are demonstrating and showing that you can have extraordinary within the ordinary. And if you want to find out a bit more about Katie, I'll leave a link to her website and her socials in the blurb. Is it blurb?
Bit
Nikki?
Below.
Is it? The description below. Sorry. Nikki's literally pulling out her hair. She's like, I keep telling you it's description, not blurb. Anyway, I'll leave Katie's contacts there. Please continue to follow and share. And and I'll see you next time. In the meantime, keep that passion burning brightly and your purpose front and center. You've got this, girl. Coming up next week on Beyond 9 to 5.
Restored Healthcare GP came as a result of COVID, actually. I was really sick in the first...
Really? With COVID?
With COVID.
Oh my.
Because I just couldn't breathe. I was struggling a lot. I did pray a lot in that season. Like, if you give me a second chance, I'm going to make something different. I'm going to do something different. I'm not going to just work for money. You get fixated on that every day, 9 to 5.
Navigating the NHS and the healthcare system here is challenging, but I think even more so for people who are new to the country. What do you think? Has that been your experience as well?
Oh, yes. You can sit at home and say, people of colour are not getting the help, or you can go and try and make a change, make a difference, educate and empower the people to do something about their health. And that's where we came from, really. Those days when you imagine doctors, it's not somebody that looks like me at all. So my A-level teacher, especially the chemistry one, and it's like, no, you can never, consider maybe a nurse, and no offense to nurses, or consider something else. It just wasn't something they felt that I could achieve. But obviously, it happened. If we're not building our voice and making them sensitive or encouraging them to share emotion, when they become men, then they're closed off, and it's even harder.